Hi everyone, I'm Marguerite with Wreaths by Marguerite. Welcome to the channel where we turn ribbon, mesh, and a little creativity into beautiful wreaths you love. Today's tutorial is about this full-size, really fluffy, bow-packed hot air balloon wreath. This is another one that was inspired by the fact that I'm doing a balloon fest this next month, this month, August. So I've been doing some product specifically geared towards that theme, and this is one of my Patriotic wreaths. I've done a storm door wreath too. I'll show you that at some point. I did a pastel version of this with one bow with all sorts of pastels on the sign, and it is got florals as well. Beautiful. On this one I chose to go with the 3-bow combination, combining the Lisa bows and the terry bow, along with this beautiful sign made for me exclusively from Grandma's Crafty Shed. That's Luann Fry. You can find her on Etsy. So stay with me and you can see how I put this beautiful creation together in very simple steps. So come on, let's do this. Okay, so today, like I said, I'm making this up and away wreath. Let me go over the supplies with you. First of all, we have a raised work form that's 15 to 24 in the beige. There's 18 ties. So therefore there's 18 pieces of mesh and 18 bundles of ribbon that we're going to put together. I was running low on my balloon ribbon because I'm doing a bunch of designs for the Mitchell Old West Balloon Fest. So what I decided to do is put the red and the blue, not black, red and the blue in all 18 ties, and then split 9 of them with the wide hot air balloon ribbon and 9 of them with the 1.5 inch. So 2.5 inch, 1.5 inch. So there's that. The mesh I decided was a neutral, since the balloon ribbon has a beige background. I decided to go with a beige and cream plaid 10-inch mesh. They're all cut at 26 inches in length. I'm going to be doing what's called the woodland ruffle. I'll just set that there. This is the sign I'm using in this project. It was made by one of my friends who owns Grandma's Crafty Shed, Luann Fry. She's also on Etsy under Grandma's Crafty Shed. So if you like the balloon or anything else you want made, she's really good at doing this. I was really excited. She did this and one other one for me in the hot air balloon. You can find the wreath I used the other sign on in my shop already. It's more pastel-y. It's got, in sections right here, it has almost like a tie-dye look to it, but it has lots of colors. It's muted. Loved it. Came out better than I expected. This one's going to be pretty basic. The one with the pastels, I put floral picks in as well to bump it up a notch. This is going to be just the sign and the ribbon. It's a really straightforward, basic larger wreath design, except for I'm adding 3 ribbon bundles. So this is going to go here, as you saw in the opening credits, and these are the 3 bows. I haven't cut all of the tails completely because they're probably going to need their ends adjusted a little bit. And what design did I use here? So this one is a terry bow. It has 2 loops and 2 tails of each ribbon. And then I think in this, yes, this is a Lisa bow. So every ribbon that you see in this bow has 3 loops. So alternating back and forth, it's either 2 tails and 1 loop with 2 loops on the other side, or flipped. So every other is flipped back and forth. So one side has the tails on this side, one side has the tails on this side. So these 2, I believe, are... Yes, these 2 are the Lisa bows. So I'm going to put those aside because we won't need those for now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get all my bundles ready. So there's 18 pieces of the red and 18 pieces of the blue. And I'm going to put the blue on the bottom. So let me go ahead and get my bundles made. I've already pre-cut all of my product to make it easier for me and quicker and not bore you to death. So we're going to go back here. I'm out of my routine, so I don't have them piled right. Usually I have them piled right in front of me, so this is a little more chaotic. Let me go ahead and do that so I'm not too confusing to you guys. All of those, and all of those. Okay, so let me get these going. If you'd notice too, I'm going to put the sign aside for a while. That was a little bit of a tongue twister. I did a trial run with one to see if everything was going to work together well. So I'll take that off of the frame so that I can go over the frame instructions with you. I add an extra step to keep my bundles of mesh and ribbon from flipping back towards the back of the wreath, because sometimes the staples that hold these ties on are not tight enough. You can take some needle nose to tighten them up, or you can do this. What am I doing? You can use the technique that I'm going to show you today real quick. I find the technique I use does not take up too much of the ties. There's still more than enough to put your mesh and your ribbon and oftentimes any other attachments that you want to add. So that's all the 1.5 inch. I'm putting the ribbon in the middle that I want to be placed on the top when you see it in the wreath. So this will be on top, then the red, and then the blue. Now I'll show you in a minute something else to pay attention to when you're using your ribbons. Get these. What did I do here? I mixed my piles. There we go. Talking and tasks have a tendency to overlap, and I can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. This maybe not so much. Alright, get in there. This is a popular style wreath recipe that I learned from my business coach, Damon Oates from Deco Exchange. You can check him out too. He's amazing. He helped me become inspired and learn all the things I needed to learn. Alright, so this ribbon here is what's called directional ribbon. All of the balloons are upright this way. So when you're placing these in the wreath, you got to make sure you're cognizant of which direction it goes in. What I'm going to do is every other is going to have the balloons this way, and every other is going to have the balloons this way. It'll give it a pattern and more dimension, and it's important to make sure that you have your balloons upright so they make sense when your customer's looking at it. They may or may not notice, but we want to get it right from the get-go. It's directional, like I said, because everything's going the same direction. It's nice, and most ribbon you would get the design going one way and then the other way. So some of the balloons would be going that way, some would be going that way. That way you don't have to worry about how you place it. Directional ribbon is also ribbon with words on it, because you want to make sure it's upright to the customer. That's something you need to keep in mind, or for yourself even, so that you get that right when you're putting everything in the frame. So let me get this out of here. Let's see. So this is a woodland ruffle. It's got curls on each end, and then you ruffle it up the center. First thing I want to do though is show you what I do to the frame to prep it, so that none of my bundles are turning upside down and backwards and flopping to the back of the wreath. Like I said, there are all these staples that hold all of your ties. This is called tinsel ties. They're much thicker than a pipe cleaner or chenille stem. Very stiff. Holds things really well. These frames are a little pricier than using a wire frame and pipe cleaners, but you know, it's also elevated, so that means it's going to make your wreath taller than some of the ones I use for the pancakes stormboard style. They lay flat. Alright, so see how you have these here? Let me see if I can bring this in for you to see better. See this here? It's not super tight. So you can tighten up this with the needle nose, or you can do what I do. It works perfectly for me. So what I do is I take one side of the stem and bring it around the second ring and bring it out. This is still plenty of room to put everything you need right in there, and I usually still end up cutting a little bit more off. I only do this in the bottom ring. I do not do this on those that are up here on the top ring. The bottom ring does hold all of that in place if I do it like this. So let me get that out of the way. I don't know if anybody else does this, but it's something I decided, hey, this is what's going to work best for me. Especially if your mesh and your ribbon are weighty. This is a heavier mesh thicker, so it's heavier. And it's a fabric with a little bit of poly in there. That means it will bounce back if it were to get wet. It is not a mesh that you can use with a wood burner to cut, because you might start a fire, and I don't want you guys doing that. I haven't tried that to see if it really happens, but let's not take those kind of chances, right? So, no wood burner. So these are all set to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is the outside ring. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one back in, now that you've seen it. And since I have an even number of ties on each layer, 10 on the bottom ring and 8 on the top, I can put things in every other position and then go back and do the others. I just find that it lays nicer. And I just rolled this end 5 times. If you're not sure where your center is, this has a pattern, so it makes it super easy. All you have to do is fold your mesh in half to find your center so that you know where to clip and where to ruffle. So I'm going to go do it 5 times on this end. And why do I do that? First of all, it's pretty. And second of all, it hides all your cut edges so they're not likely to fray anymore. All mesh frays. Wood burner helps, but this is not a mesh that you can do that with. So I'm just ruffling to the top. I'm going to skip this one and go in here. See, I still have a ton of tie left in this one. So it doesn't really hurt anything to do it the way I did. All you're going to do is make it more secure. And you're twisting it tight and low when you put your elements in, your product in. So therefore, it's going to use up as little of the tie as possible. The other thing you can do, remember, is if you don't wrap the tinsel tie around it like I did, it's just make sure that you are twisting that super tight and low against the mesh and in the ribbon. Pardon. And the ribbon, that way you use as little of the tie as possible, and that also will contribute to it staying in place. So, things to consider. This is the original style wreath I did when I very first started. And then I learned for my local events, people love the big fluffy wreaths, but they didn't feel the comfort in utilizing that beautiful style on their door because, one, it won't fit behind a storm door up against your regular door without getting squished like crazy. Those beautiful bows would not be very beautiful for long. So I started doing a ton more of the storm door wreaths. That's what I sell mostly locally when I sell at events. But I still sell lots of the big and fluffy. And this sign just called for a big fluffy wreath. It's a beautiful hand-painted, handmade sign from my friend Luann. My grandma's Crafty shed. I'll probably say that a few more times. I want to get the word out that she does that. She's another small business owner that I befriended when we moved here to Nebraska. And we do all sorts of things together from a crafting aspect as far as events. We actually even run the craft buildings at our local Oktoberfest that we have here in Sidney, Nebraska. And we've been growing that every year. It's fun. It's work. Don't get me wrong, it is work. But it is so rewarding. So, making wreaths got me to know people in my community because I started out with taking my product to the Sidney Farmers Market the first summer we moved here. And everything's history from there. That really opened my door to meeting people in town and getting more involved. So there's the first, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go back and do the 5 in between. Now also make sure when you're putting that mesh in there that it's centered so that they're even when they come up here with each other. That way when you put this next 5 pieces in, they will line up evenly. You don't have to really invest in really expensive tools. This is a chip clip, but it's a lifesaver. A lot of people do this technique on their chest. They roll it and then ruffle. I just don't feel comfortable with that, and my rolls always look cattywampus. And then we're just ruffling it on the middle. It's like 2 taquitos on the end, as Tammy would say, one of my other mentors. And the ruffle in the center. Now you could turn it the other direction where the rolls face down, or you can do it up. I prefer this facing up. I want all of the design showing. So I'm going to get that centered in there. Tight and low. And then make sure these are even with each other on each side. See that? That. All right. Texting. People are texting me. They know I'm filming. That's life, right? They're like, she's doing something. I'm going to message her now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Turn it around. Easy to find the center because it's got a design, and I know the white cream stripe in the center, so that makes it much easier. I love working with pattern mesh. It makes it much easier to ruffle. You're just following that line to the top, getting it all on your thumb and forefinger, and bringing it over to your wreath, lifting the mesh on each side. Try not to handle the outer edge of your mesh because it will adjust the design in a way that you cannot correct. So be somewhat cautious with it. Mesh is like Velcro, so you really got to watch what you're doing too to make sure it doesn't snag on you or anything else. I always wear short sleeves 99.9% of the time, and I don't wear anything new because it snags on everything. Having a minimum of 3 feet of workspace, I have 4 to 5. Allows you plenty of room to work on your project. Did you see how that just grabbed onto my shirt? Plus, that way it's less likely to get caught in the mesh because as you're turning it, everything around it will just gather on the bottom. If you're missing anything, that's where you should look for it. All right. Almost done with the first layer, and then we get to put some ribbon in. It's mesh, ribbon, mesh, and then I haven't decided yet if it's going to go sign ribbon or ribbon sign. We will see. Sometimes you have to just play it by ear. It'll probably be ribbon before the sign because it's an unusual shape, the sign is, and we want the customer or everybody to see the shape. Where a round or a square are pretty uniform, you can, hide the edges and it won't affect the appearance. This we want to make sure everybody sees. It would be too easy to hide it if I put the ribbon on first. So I guess that means I just made my decision, didn't I? Sometimes it's just talking it out. In there. Okay, matching those up, making sure they're even. If they're not, you pull down at the base by the ties. Itchy nose. Mesh makes my nose itchy because it's got fabric and burlap in there. All right. 1, 2. You can make these curls as tight or as loose as possible. I tend to err on the side of tighter, so that once it gets in the wreath, it doesn't open up. That's also why I don't like to do it against my chest, because mine always end up with really big curls, and I don't really care for that. Everybody has their own favorite way to do things. That's mine. Always remember, what I'm teaching you is just a guideline. You can do whatever you want. It's up to you. You'll find what's best for you. It's just practice. You can't expect it to be perfect the first time around. Is that all 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So now we get to play with some ribbon. So remember, I need 5 of each for this layer because this has 10 ties. there. All right. That should be 4 and 4. Yep. So let me unwrinkle this one. This is the one I had in there. If you go back to some of my earlier videos and the beginning of 2024, you will find detailed instructions on how to cut your ribbon to give it this pretty dovetail. Clean up there. That one was a little rough. I don't know what happened. Ribbon phrase as well. There's no avoiding it, but the less you're handling it, the better. So I must have handled that piece a lot before I put it in when I tested it out. So this means I'm going to put all of my bundles with the 2.5-inch balloon design in with them upright, starting that way. Now on the bottom layer, I'm going to ruffle it in the middle where I creased it when I bent them, and I'm going to pull them to the edge of the table towards me. That will help the ribbon when I get it in here, and I tighten it 2 to 3 times at least. And then I'm going to lift and separate my ribbons. I'm going to put the blue up on this one particular, on the 2.5-inch, and I'm going to put the red down. So that means I'll put the blue up. No, I'll put the blue down on the 1.5-inch, and you'll see what I mean shortly. I'm tired of these on my screen. Go away. It was distracting me. No distractions. And I turn the wreath as I'm working on it instead of my body, so I'm not contorting my back, my hips. I get sore doing this, believe it or not, even after all these years. So anything I can do to avoid aches and pains is what I'm suggesting. So we're going to skip this, and we're going to go here. We're following the same pattern, so the balloons will be to the facing up. The bottoms will be of the balloons will be to the right. And the blue will be up, and the red will be down. So 1, 2, 3. This one, for some reason, was a little tighter, but I'm going to cut off the ends anyway. We had more than enough. Cut it a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm going to position my ribbon, lift the top 2 away from the bottom, then position that, run my fingers over it to get it smooth, lift it up, place the red, and then I'm going to place the balloon in the center between the 2. Okay? So lift, separate, place. Lift, separate, place. And there's that one. You're going to be messing with the ribbon at the end anyway when you fluff it, so don't handle it too much at this point. All right. Again, baskets to the right. Skip that one, go to this one. 1, 2, 3, tight and low. I'm going to cut the excess off. I try to remember, not always, I try to remember to cut these back when I'm working on them so that I don't forget and come back later and go, oh. Or after I've taken pictures, lift and separate, place. Lift, separate, place, and running your fingers over them to get them nice and smooth. Pop those little bubbles at the base out. That happens from the ruffling process or gathering process on the ribbon. Not the end of the world. Place that. Lift and separate. And that in the center. So I can play with it later. So next, I should have 2 more to go. So I'm skipping that one. We go to this. Basket to the right. Put that in the tie. Twist 3 times, 2, 3, cut off my excess. Now I'm going to lift, separate, place. Oh my gosh. Lift, separate, place. Turn a little bit so I'm not, see, I'm not twisting a lot. Lift, separate, place. Lift, separate, place. Pop that bubble out, skip this one, and we go to this, and that means it's perfect because there's another empty one there, empty one there, and we're looking at that one. Basket to the right. Pull it down towards the edge of this table to get that upside down V, inverted V. So that helps to do that before you place it in the tie. 1, 2, 3. Because it helps it stay pointed to the outside of the wreath. It doesn't do it perfectly, but it's a lot better than not doing it at all. You're not fighting your product. Lift, separate. Lift, separate, place. And then run your fingers over it, smoothing it out. I forgot to say I used 14-inch ribbon tails. We want big, fluffy. We want the ribbon to be seen, not hidden. So this will help that process as well, having the 14-inch tails. Sometimes I do 13 if I know that it's going to be hidden regardless. Sometimes that makes me make them longer. I'm fickle, sorry. So now, since the baskets were to the right, now the baskets will be to the left with the 1.5-inch balloon window. 1.5-inch ribbon. Balloon ribbon. Okay, we're going to put that in there. We're going to put these and all of them in between. 3 twists, cut the excess off. Another tool that you should have around the house. I always tell everybody, don't invest in tools till you're sure this is something you want to do for a while, or unless it's necessary because you don't have it around the house. So looky here. We are putting the red on top instead of the blue with the 1.5-inch. You see, red up, blue up. So, let me get this side now. So it's going to be lift and separate, place the blue down to the outside of the wreath. Lift and separate, and put the red to the top, to the inside of the wreath. Fixing those edges. This red one has got an amazing wire in it, but for a linen, it's pretty thin compared to this one, and this one's stiff. I don't know if they starch them or what. So it fights me more. That's okay, it's in its natural condition. Not every ribbon is perfectly smooth. Like there's a one style called Dupioni that's, I don't know, it's not velvet. It's shiny usually, but it does have texture to it that makes it look like it's a little bit wrinkled. 3. So it's not the end of the world if it won't lay perfect. These are homemade products, handmade products, so I always remind people if customers say anything, this is not made by a machine. These are made by my hands with love. It really has to be a passion. How else would I still be doing this after 7 years, right? I enjoy it. I enjoy when I do my craft shows too. It really gets me out to see the people. Living in a small rural community of 6,000 in southwest Nebraska, it's nice to get out and see the people. So baskets to the left. That's right, I forgot for a moment. Okay, I'll put that in there, nice and tight and low. 1, 2, 3. Cut the excess off. I know there's one I didn't cut. I haven't forgotten yet. So I gotta remember. Blue down, red up. Lift, separate, place. Lift, separate, place. Run my fingers over it. Get those little bubbles at the base of the tie out as best you can. Turn it. Do the same thing again. Got 2 more for this layer. And then we can move on to the mesh again. Alright. Next, baskets to the left. And I'm talking about the baskets at the base of the balloon in case you weren't sure. Just in case. Alright, bring that upside down V. Place it in the frame. And when you do every other like this, the second grouping, the second half of the ribbon tails lie neatly on top of the ribbon from the first grouping that you put in. It holds it in place nicely as well, I find. Just more dimension, more interest. Place that up there. Alright, one more for this layer. And then we get to move to the top. It's going pretty fast. And that's also, remember, because I cut all my materials ahead. I often do that. I make kit. That's how the kits started for me. I found the first year after COVID, I couldn't make product fast enough. Maybe it was before COVID. Yeah, it was before COVID. Because I signed up for every show under the sun. And I was selling. And I didn't have the stock pre-made because I was learning. So the next year I had 72 kits ready. So what that means is I pre-cut all the materials for 72 wreaths for the fourth quarter. So Christmas, fall, Thanksgiving, and Halloween. So that I could make mine at my leisure throughout the year for all my events. I ended up doing it for the other holidays too, but not as many as Christmas, fall, and Halloween. Because I was rushing home that first year or two after shows, because I'd have one after the other, like one weekend after the other. And I'd have to come home and make anywhere from 8 to 12 wreaths. There we go. There it is. Move that further out of the way, it's distracting. So yeah, I was exhausted. So that winter, right after Christmas, I made a ton of kits with the materials I had. To say I went hot wild that first 2 years and buying supplies would be an understatement, but you know, gotta have all the things to make all the things, right? That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So now I have, oh, I forgot, they need to go this way. When you're putting in the mesh, your ties need to be horizontal to you. When you put your ribbon in, the ties need to be vertical to you. Okay, where's that one I missed? I want to get that out of the way first. Where are you? There it is. Didn't want to forget that. It wouldn't show in pictures, but yeah. Keep it clean when you can, right? So back to this. I'm going to close this because I'm using this as a weight. Usually I use my phone, but not when I'm filming. I need the phone for that. 5 turns, 5 curls. Bring that out of the way, ruffle, ruffle. And I try to remember to bring it down towards me rather than reaching across the table when I ruffle. That's another, no, I had it right in the first place, you guys. I was backwards. Oh my gosh. Me doing things and talking at the same time is never a good combination. And try to do it, hey, get in there. There we go. And try to get in there and do it before you get started. Anything you can do to speed up the process, unless you're just doing this at your leisure just because you want to. Alright, so I did that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and skip this one and come here. Oh, I don't think I turned it. Let me see. Let me do this end first. Yeah, that one is right. Turn that. Having the clip on there also helps your mesh not roll up on you when you're trying to work with it. Because as you get further into the center of your roll of mesh, the more curly it's going to be. And another hint, I try to use the mesh that is more curly, that's closer to the center of the roll when I took it off of the roll on my top layer. And I tried to remember to use the wider curls, the stuff that came off of my roll of mesh first, on the bottom, because it gives it a little bit more width. And suddenly it's hot in here. Open that end. It really is easy. You're just watching me do it step by step. And then in the end, you end up with a really beautiful product for yourself or a gift, or if you are like me, selling these for a living. If you have the proper tools, which are mostly household tools, you can do it. I'm confident. I teach in-person classes now and again. I used to do them a lot. Usually around Christmas only at this point, sometimes others. If somebody reaches out to me, absolutely, I still do them. So I've taught, I always tell this story because I'm so proud of her. I had one lady, a student, who's been a student and customer ever since, come to a class, petrified. She was confident she was going to do it. But she was confident it was going to be terrible. She was going to do a terrible job. She said she was having heart palpitations, which scared the crud out of me at first. She said, no, I'm just so nervous. And I said, I am confident you do well. And in the end, she did. Her full family was impressed, as I understand it from her. I said, see, it's just, you know, for a lot of things in life, you just break it down, you can do it. I still have to tell myself that about other things. I don't even have the big lights on today, and it's hot in here too. I know what it is. It's humid. We have been having some humid weather here in southwest Nebraska for a couple days now. Extra. Yesterday it was 80% humidity. Today it's 70. And I learned something new this weekend about that. Did you know that the humidity this time of year in our part of the country, at least, a lot of it comes from the corn because there's so much water in the corn? Yeah, I didn't believe it at first, but sure enough, the professionals came out and said, yep, it's true. You just never know what you're going to learn, right? I only want one, guys. Stay. Okay, see how much curlier it is? Yeah, it just dawned on me again. It's finally cooled off. We had 2 or 3 days either at 100 or just under. And in this neck of the woods, I'm not enjoying it with the humidity. We all have our crosses to bear, so to speak, right? I just don't know how some of my family stands that heat in Phoenix, and I'm sure they'd say the same thing as I do to my friends back home in California about the weather here. When it gets below 0, because it does in January, February a lot, you just don't go outside. And I swear the heat is hotter now than when I was young. I used to go to Phoenix, the Phoenix area, to my cousin's house, my aunt and uncle's house. Now, I could stand it okay. Man, it feels hotter these days to me. I'm sure it's just me, but... So we're just ruffling again. Making those curls on the end, creating the ruffles in the center, bringing them over to the frame, putting them in an empty tie in between the other two around it, just making sure it's centered, and that each side is even with the ruffle on each side of it. Right, there we go. So we've got one more to go. Look how curly that is. Definitely need to put some weight on it too. Ow! My finger got caught between the works because of the way I grabbed it. Don't do that. My husband would say, don't do that, it hurts. And I'm always like, gee, thanks. Funny man. Didn't catch any skin, but it hurt nonetheless. You could get away with less than 5 pearls, but like I said, I think I said earlier, I just don't want to take any chance of the pearls to open up. I don't like that. Center. Like I said, this Velcro catches on everything. I saw a red thread in here somewhere. There's a blue one. Get out of there. Oh yeah, I got a little bit of a blister there. Alright, so now we're going to go back. Remember I said I wasn't sure if I was going to put in the ribbon before the sign. I have decided. I am putting the ribbon in before the sign. And I'm putting the 2.5 inch bundles in, and then I'm going to go back and do the 1.5 inch balloon. So, again, remembering. So I did the buckets to the right last time. I'm going to mix it up and do it the other way on this layer. I am not going to do the inverted V because I'm going to spread this out a little bit more than I did on the bottom. And since like I'm starting here, the blue is on the outside there, I'm going to put the red out. No, I'll put the blue. This is so tall now, I almost need to stand. Alright. I lifted, I separated, I ran my fingers over the ribbon. This is catching on the mesh a lot. That red one in particular. Turn it, do the same thing on the other side. Alright, make sure that's flipped the right direction. Get that bubble out. I will fluff it again when I'm done. But we're going to be handling it a lot when I put the bows and the sign in. So, alright, baskets to the left. Skip a tie. Go on to this one. Twist. I'm doing the 3 again. I forgot to cut these. I'm not putting any florals, so I'm definitely not keeping the tips of these on here either. Sometimes I leave the excess on there to glue florals and such to it. But since I know I'm not doing florals, there's no point of holding on to it. Get it out of the way. So always with the 2.5 inch balloon bundles, I'm putting the blue to the outside edge and the red to the inside, and then the opposite with the bundles with the 1.5 inch balloon ribbon. Alright, get this done. Let me see if I can get this done in 20 minutes. It's almost time to feed my dog. She will make an appearance shortly if I have not made it in time. It's amazing the clock, internal clock that these critters have. So that one I'm skipping, I'm going here. Cut that excess off. Yeah, I know I hold my clippers in a strange position, but it's the best grip for me. You do what works for you, you know what I mean? That's how we roll here. Get all that out of the way. I will definitely stand to put the bows and the sign in. I need a good overhead perspective when I do that. Some people do, they're creating all standing up. I just physically can't do it anymore. But this is so tall. I almost can't see over it. Just kidding. You could, if you don't want to just cut them off like that, you can always twist them completely and then tuck them under. That's another thing you can do with the tinsel ties. I know some people that don't cut them at all, but since I do the bottom ties the way I do them, wrapped around the frame, one side is always shorter than the other, and I don't like how that looks. So yeah, this has been my solution. All right. Pop that out, and now we're going to go in and do the 1.5 inch bundles. So the baskets were to the left on the 2.5 inch, so the baskets are to the right on the 1.5 inch balloon ribbon. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to put the red to the outside. Lift, separate position. The reason we lift it is to get it pulled away from the base of the tinsel tie as much as possible. It makes it easier to manipulate it. That one seemed like it was upside down. Okay. I scrolled there, sorry. Lift and separate. And position. Alright. Next, I'll put this away because I don't need it anymore. Making sure that basket's to the right. Most people won't even notice it, but if I notice it, it's not going to stand. One time I don't worry as much as when I have bow or something that's going to be on top of it, and it's just really, you know, your mesh is your foundation, kind of like a bra, as my coach says in examples a lot. It's the solid foundation that holds everything up. Never thought about it that way until he mentioned it, but it's true. And, you know, when you're putting other elements on top of it, your ribbon and your mesh really are part of the background. So then I suppose it wouldn't be as crucial for them to all be consistent. But if you're like me, you try to make sure you are. Get under there. It's got a wrinkle. Don't like that. Fix it. Alright, we've got 2 more to go. Yes. So we're coming in here. Basket to the right. I'm telling you, my memory's going at this age. 2 and 3. Cut them off. Position. So blue up, red down. Down there. Got everything in the way now that it's almost complete. Last but not least, put these down here a little below the ties. Get that in there. Come on. There we go. 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Get the excess off. And just for the people that make this stuff, like I do, if any of these break or get ruined, they sell the ties individually that you can purchase in packs of, I think, 12, 24? I can't remember anymore. So if you need replacement pieces, it's a great thing to have. I try to have 1 package of every color because you never know when. I've had a few that were broken when I went to use them on the wreath, and I've gone, oh, well, here we go. We'll just put that in there. All right, so there is that. Try not to mess it up. And now, first thing I'm going to do is put the sign in. Then I'm going to put the bows on the other side. And now I can't feel my leg. Okay. So I've gone ahead and I've attached pipe cleaners on the back with staples because this sign is over a 1/4 inch deep. If it weren't over a 1/4 inch deep, I would use cable tie mounts instead of staples with the pipe cleaners. This is a cable tie mount if you're not familiar. These little black squares. They have adhesive or not, depending on which ones you buy. And then you put some hot glue on the back. Nope. You put super glue, the cable tie mount, and then you reinforce it with hot glue because hot glue will not hold up in the heat or the extreme cold. They'll melt off or pop off. So I'm going to figure out where I want everything. I'm going to center him right here. Why did I say him? Do I want to do it like this? I think I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to take these two off. I'll get to see how I do it because I only needed 2. I don't know why I thought I needed 3, but I did not. No harm, no foul. Attach one of them at the top center. I don't know why I thought I needed 3, but get the staples. I'm not going to fight with that. Get a new one. Alright, and I always put 2 staples in for support. One of them didn't take. Twist. Didn't come through. Fabulous. Put those up there and those down here. So you can see it from your direction. And then I have these cute little 6-inch plastic embroidery needles. This is how I pull my pipe cleaners through the frame without losing my mind. If you make them, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it on one side of this mesh bundle and pull that side through there to the back. I fold it over the needle, pull it through, and then I'm going to hold it while I pull the other one through on the other side of the center of that loop, that bundle. Oh, here we go. Like, what am I doing? Trying to push these through the mesh is very achievable at all times. It's just annoying because it takes time. So this needle helps you to pull it through without any argument from the pipe cleaner because it likes to double itself up. So I'm going to make sure it's around at least one of the rings so it doesn't slip. And I'm not pulling it super tight. We want it settled in, but we don't want it to crush everything and make everything look smashed. Alright, I'll finish twisting that later. So that one's there. And I'm going to put this one here. So I'm going to remove some of this ribbon out of the way carefully because it's attaching itself to the mesh. Reposition all this ribbon a little bit. This time it's truly going to go through the mesh. That one, the first one, went around a tinsel tie. Where'd it go? There it is. Couldn't find it on the other side. Because this is deep. This one's a 6-inch plastic embroidery needle. If I'd used the ones I originally bought, I'd probably be frustrated because those were only 3 inches long. I got those at Walmart. and they're just not long enough to pull through this because it's probably somewhere around 6 inches deep already. Did I lose it already? Oh, Nelly. Let's see if it went through and I just didn't see it. Nope, it did not. Try again. I didn't catch it on the back side very well. So now, where's the other one? Okay, I'm going to wrap this around the frame till I find the other one so it doesn't fall through again, so we're not doing this back and forth thing. Which one is that? Where is it? That's that one. Where are you hiding? I'm just going to go ahead and twist this one some more so it's in place and it doesn't come off. Usually I twist them with each other around one bar. But hey, this is another solution. Now where is the end? There it is. Right? Is that it? Yep. Come back to me. There it is. Try this one more time. I can always untwist the other one so I can twist these together. Alright, I'm going to flatten it a little bit. I'm going to undo it so they're attached to each other. I'm going to put it through. Get in there. Fingers, they feel like they're on somebody else's hands. Good grief. And I'm going to tighten that one up while I'm back here. So I twist it all the way. You can cut off excess and then just tuck it under the frame so that it's not near the door in case it goes on a door that has a glass insert or even regular. We don't want to scratch our customers' doors. Alright. So, get that under there. So there's the sign. And I already made my bows. So this is the bigger, these two are the same size, and this one's the bigger of the two. So I'm going to put it centered, and then I'm going to come back and add the other two, and they'll frame that sign. So I need this some more. So I think I'm going to put it around this one so that it's nice and secure and won't flop around. We don't want floppy wreaths, right? There we go. I'll hold that while I one-handed do it on the other side. Get in that mesh, please. I was trying to put it where the thickest amount of mesh was, and it was just not letting me. Okay, now I'm holding both of those in my hand. I'm going to bring it this way a little bit. Yeah, and just jerk it out of my hand. Good job. Alright. Settle it into the wreath, but not squish it. No, I did not get it around a ring. That's important. Like I said, we don't want floppiness. So there's the first one. I'm going to go ahead and cut this a little shorter. You can always cut some off, but you can't add any. So I just try to make sure they're a little longer than I need. Realistically, the tails shouldn't go out any further than the length of the loop of the corresponding color. That's my rule of thumb. haven't done this style in a while. Turn it. There we go. This one could be a little bit shorter. I'm leaving the balloon ribbon a little bit longer because it's so pretty. And it's all about the hot air balloons on this wreath. So, absolutely should. You see me running my fingers over the ribbon to give it a little bit of a curl. That one's good. Do we got them all? I think we do. So now we're going to go back and put one on each side. I think this one might, let me cut the tails, just look bigger. And cut some of them, not all of them, I guess. That's what I want to say. One of the things I really love about this hot air balloon ribbon too is it's stiff. I love a stiff ribbon. It's still too long. I guess I'm doing all of them. Sorry, I'm a scissors slinger. I can't break that habit apparently. The blue one. Okay. I'll put this one at the bottom. And again, I'm going to straddle that. Or maybe not. Nope, I'm not going to. That one or this? I'm going to do the one right there. If I can find my needle. I'm going to do this one. Get back in there. So that really holds it in place when you use the oh, this side. My bad. Moving my ribbon out of the way is what I'm doing in here. I didn't need the needle on this one because there was enough of a gap to get it through. Not looking good. So there's the first two. That is going to be one fluffy wreath. And then this one will go right here. So basically it's a half moon shape. These all look cut. This one should go over here. All right. Hi. See? She's here for lunch. That one I didn't need the needle for either. Sometimes it works out that way nicely. Sounds like we might be getting a storm. I think I hear some thunder. Okay, I should have used that needle because I keep losing my grip. Okay, pull it in just a little bit. Not too much, of course. Alright. Oh, I love this. I've been really happy with my hot air balloon lace. Make sure you take a look at the other one if it's still available online. This needs to be shorter because I don't want it to cut up this, cover up the sign. There we go. That one there. Fluff them all out. This should be... Get the tools out of the way. Clean up our messes. So that we're ready for the next project. All right. And there you have it. Let's turn it. There we go. I love it. There you go.